I'm gonna have that fucking English opening stuck in my head for the rest of my life, I swear to God. Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. I'm your host, Craftsdwarf, and this is my co-host, Mathwiz, yet again, here for Shounen stuff.
We're halfway through Rave. It's almost over.
Somehow, yes. Chapter-wise, we're not quite at the halfway point. The next set of reading is going to be almost 100 chapters, because the arc divide is not ideal for the speed at which we're going. So yeah, that's the pain. That sounds, I don't know. The discussion should be better though. So yeah. Yep. Do we have comments? You have comments.
Well, first off, got to address actually there were two comments that were kind of similar. I don't think they were exactly the same, but you had, what was it, Annie456123, who
Yes,
was like, Mashima
very
is,
compelling argument.
Mashima's better than Oda because Rave Master is a meta retelling of the hero's journey.
Exactly. Interesting insight. In fact, I'm very curious as to he said he's going to comment on every episode of Rave and Fairy Tail in private. So I'm very curious as to see his deductions going forward. Anyway, I had a comment too. Karabe is doing a tally, because back on Bleach we had a teleports behind you counter. I think there was like 19 total, but there were some I missed, and then there was the issue of like trying to decide what counted or not. He's doing two. He's doing one for like bad guys turned good, which is currently at 4 as of the last reading. And then he's also doing a fake death counter, which is the Mashima's like trademark. His fake character deaths. Like, he's, especially in Fairy Tail, he has mastered that art. So that sounds fun. I had one more. Did you have any other comments?
There was a comment by Nunmanji about Destiny.
I was gonna mention that was my last one.
Stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it was neat. He had because like I didn't like, it's not that I didn't pick up on it, but I didn't pay any attention to it at all. So, because like I was bringing up the coincidence thing, because I don't mind coincidence stories, and even mentioned that, but like, yeah, so yeah, there is a fate destiny thing, and there's coincidence, so it's like, yeah, because Berserk has the same shit, where it's like, I know you haven't read or watched it, but like, there's a character called Skull Knight, and he like shows up coincidentally with the main character so often. I've joked about how he might as well just join the main character's party. But, and he always talks about fate and shit, so, and it's funny because I don't know how, like, see, now that I bring up that comparison, because I thought about it, Mashima, because we've talked about, like, the influences that the, the big three authors have had, like, especially Dragon Ball. Mashima likes Berserk. It doesn't show up much in his work at all, but, because Berserk's, like, this dark, gritty fantasy shit. But the fate thing is, I guess, kind of a similarity, I suppose, because, I mean, it's not that it's a unique theme to either story, but I just thought it was funny. That's, like, the only connection I've been able to notice as far as, like, influence, and even then it's, like, influence? I'm not sure. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because I have heard that I don't know. It's weird because I don't know of any of Mashima's other influences. Like, we could point at like Dragon Ball or other contemporaries like, I don't know, One Piece. I don't know. Like, he's probably read them, and I don't know exactly how the influences work. Like, there's assumptions I could make, but that's only assumptions. And like I'd be curious as to know what he says has influenced him. Aside from Berserk, apparently.
Well, I know he said in one of the at the end of the volumes, in one of those afterwards, he had said something about like the one chapter was like a color chapter, and he's like, oh, it was cool that I could do that. But just like, so he referenced Toriyama.
So the last chapter of Dragon Ball would have been all color because it was a big deal for the magazine. So that would be my guess. Unless there's other Dragon Ball all-color chapters. I don't know.
I thought the one... maybe it wasn't all-color, but I thought the one that was like the Dr. Slump fake-out, I thought that was all-color as well. But that's the only other one I could maybe think of.
I have not read Dr. Slump. Shame on me.
Well, I mean, it was a Dragon Ball chapter, but it was introduced like, oh, is Dr. Slump?
Oh, that's right. No, that's in the General Blue. stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that, okay, I didn't know that chapter was all color. Okay.
Well, I it might have been. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on the Dr. Slump lore. So, but anyway, are we about ready to get into discussion? Did you have any more comments or?
No.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so getting right in, we actually start off with a joke I kind of liked. Because they're like, oh, look at that bird, it's super rare. And the guy on Musica's crew is like, oh yeah, I'm like an encyclopedia for animals. And Ellie's like, okay, what animal is Plu? And he's like,
yeah.
He just ignores it. That was pretty funny. This arc, I mean, it's got some good moments, but then it also has pain. So yeah, they go to they need a way to get into like this tunnel so that they can get to Symphonia, which is beyond a gate, the Empire Gate, and they need money, so they go to a casino to try and earn money / find a sponsor. Man, being an adventurer is hard. You can't just like go adventuring. You need fucking money. And come to think of it, this is like the second time like money, like, because there was the arc earlier with the gambling and shit. So Mashima keeps going on about capitalism, I guess. So. But yeah, we're also introduced to Ruby, who ends up being pretty important, where he's the rich owner of the casino. He's just like a kid who doesn't understand shit, and he's being exploited by the Doryu Ghost Attack Squad. So, yeah, it kind of starts like that. This whole reading is like this whole art, like we just read the whole Alabasta saga in a way, where it's like you get like the setup stuff has already ended, and then we're into this like next big antagonist that goes over like several arcs. So I didn't think about how it's like I mean, there's probably another example. I don't know why my mind jumped to that. We just read One Piece maybe. So did you have any thoughts on the casino shenanigans?
There was the one part where they were talking about like, oh, what if this, if what's it called, if the overdrive wiped out like a tenth of the planet, then there should have been like a lot. And there's like this weird looking like diagram thing where it's like a sentient sun and planet, and there's just like a chunk of it missing, and that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, because they talked about that too, where like apparently the overdrive destroyed 1/10 of the planet, but it actually just destroyed 1/10 of the discovered map at the time, the surface. So he kind of depowered it, I guess, which I guess makes sense after the last arc where like an explosion the size of which is I guess kind of cheap because it's like he's undercutting the previous thing retroactively. I mean, it's still dangerous. Like it would have destroyed the whole tower and shit, but not as dangerous as it originally implied. Like the misconception kind of makes sense because information gets kind of corrupted as it goes about anyway. Like a common one is humans only use 10% of their brain kind of thing, which is also a figure that is about like 1/10, but is also wrong. So yeah, in different ways, but like there's some truth to it. But yeah, Haru and Ellie get captured. There's also some world building about like the after effects of taking down Demon Card, which was nice, because now there's also these other evil groups that are doing shit, and now there's this power vacuum, and the Empire is trying to do shit, and and so like this whole arc and saga and stuff is basically the result of all that. So that's kind of cool. They're already influencing the world through the actions in big ways, so which makes sense. It was a big arc, so yeah. Oh, by the way, I guess we lucked out with this translation because they call him Pumpkin Doryu. In the fan translation I read, they made it Pumpkin Drew. So like we talked about, antagonists with like really mundane English names before, like George in the Hugto Precure or Jack in One Piece, and now Drew.
I see.
So I don't know which I prefer, because there's something funny about those, like, really mundane, especially Drew, which is, like, an older one that's, I feel like, I don't know, I've never met a Drew in real life, I've just seen it on television, so, but I haven't known, like, George or so, but, I just thought I'd share. But yeah, the attack squad guys are trying to do shady shit, because they just want the money, and Ruby, he's a good boy, he's a dumb boy, but, yeah, I guess he exists.
Actually, speaking of the translation, I noticed that they haven't completely gone away, but there were a lot less of the weird funky lingo that was present the last time around.
I noticed it was toned down a bit too. Well, see, it's like I had a thought like, wait, there's been no weird things, and then like immediately noticed one of those lines, and I'm like, okay, never mind. But yeah, it's not completely gone, but they did tone it down a bit. So yeah. Oh yeah, and of course, as things are going down, our favorite characters, the Jigglebutt Gang, makes an appearance.
But this time they're not just a one-off gag. They're actually like relevant to the way scene plays out.
Yeah, they save they run into Haru and Ellie and they save them, and then they fart the whole place up. Yay.
I don't know how I feel about that, because like on one hand it's like it's part of the, like it's similar to like the Sanji nosebleed thing where it's like part of the plot. I don't
but it's like
not quite on the same level, whereas like that moment also tied into like the blood transfusion thing, which was like a big arc thing.
So but it does like affect, well, because the arc like kind of runs down without resolving the actual like fights, because like these guys are going to show up later. They're part of the bad guys gang, and so.
But then on the other hand, it is just a fart gag, which is a thing.
Among my least favorite. Yes. So again, as I've said before, I don't mind childish humor. Like, it's just not for me. This series aimed at children is allowed to have childish humor. It's fine. But yeah, so there's another thing, because like Ruby's whole thing with his dad, where his dad had these integrity and ideals to not give money to bad people, and yeah, these guys are tricking Ruby into thinking they're good. And later on, especially Haru and Ruby connect over that. They're sort of dead dads who were good people. So I didn't think about that until it actually happened later. But the setup was obviously here. But yeah, Ruby gets helped by the good guys, and they get Ruby and they head out, and it's all good. We cut to the Empire, and we see a number of their sort of like elite dudes talking about the whole where all these like bad organizations are going, and we get because we get name drops for Onigami, who end up merging with the attack squadron later and being part of the main antagonists in the arc, and then the Blue Guardians, who have not shown up, which isn't that the name of the Shiba's allies, or the four blue, aren't they also called? No, maybe I'm mixing things up. What are they called? The four people who are guarding the Rave Stones and are turned into animals. See, I'm asking you, like, wait.
I don't think they were called. I feel like they were the something Guardians, but I don't remember.
My brain might have like thought, because I think that confused me when I for some reason I thought they were the Blue Guardians, but I guess it's just the bad guys. So my brain is bad. So also I thought it was interesting. Rereading it in my case, because Deep Snow, he's they're commenting later like, okay, how do we deal with all this this power vacuum, everyone's getting active, we're having trouble dealing with everything, and Deep Snow suggests releasing the devil of basement floor 66, and I just thought it was interesting that it was Deep Snow specifically who suggested that, because he turns out to be a traitor. He's working with demon cards. So though there are some questions I do have about, because we learn a lot about that guy. A few things, like he becomes a pretty important guy, but so I do have some questions, because like Deep Snow seems to know about him, but King apparently thought his family was dead, so I'm not sure. I feel like maybe it'll get explained later, but maybe I'm just forgetting something. But yeah, and Sieg goes to that prison like right after it's mentioned, and we see his room, and it's all covered in fucking graffiti of like a lot of dark shit. Have you had any thoughts so far, or about all this setup?
I mean, yeah, like the panel with all like the writing on the wall, that was cool.
My favorite pieces of graffiti is there's like the up in the top, there's like, I aim to succeed my father, which obvious foreshadowing for who he is. in retrospect. But there on the left, there's like, that's a little too much. Where he's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to take that, but for some reason I take it as like a moment of self clarity, where he's like he just looks at the gravity, all the crazy shit. He's like, sin, conquest, punishment, war, Ragnarok, sacrifice. And he's, that's a little too much. I don't know. It makes me laugh when I saw it. So. Yeah, or maybe it's just the author thinking, oh, maybe this is too much, or I don't know, it's funny. But yeah, we will talk more about Lucia later. Okay, I gotta ask how you felt about this part. Okay, so we go back to Haru and gang, and they are, they're taking the ship to the storm so that they can break through and to go through the gate and get to Symphonia. You know, we just spent a whole like mini arc of them at the casino trying to find a way to get, legally get into the Empire Gate. Then they get to the gate, the Doryu Ghost Squadron blows it up, and they just go, we're just going straight through the storm anyway. Did you have any thoughts about that or no?
I mean, I don't know, not really. I guess I don't know. It was just kind of another event that happened. Which I guess is just kind of how I feel about Rave at this point. It's a lot of it is just events that happen.
Yes. Well, because with me, this is part of my. I think I mentioned it in the Tirade video, even where this part pissed me the fuck off when I first read it, because like they just spent a whole fucking volume trying to find out how to get through that gate so they didn't have to like die in the storm, and then the gate just gets destroyed and they decide to go through the storm anyway. And so it's just like how, it was all kind of a waste, right? Like we're just going through anyway. And so yeah, it kind of made me mad when I first read it. So now I was kind of aware of it, so I don't care as much. And they add Ruby to the crew. We built up the Doryu Ghost Squadron a bit. So it wasn't like the arc was completely worthless, but it's still kind of frustrating a little bit that they work so hard for this thing, and then, at least they are taking it well. We're just going to go through the storm anyway. And then they do kind of like, okay, this is another weird thing. Because again, like, we just read One Piece, and I always think about it anyway, so it's always in my mind. But there were, like, a couple things that it's like, maybe you could kind of draw similarities to One Piece, except with One Piece, they happen later. So, because people always, people do get on Mashima for apparently quote unquote ripping off Oda. Like there's one character design in particular that's really unusually close in weird ways that shouldn't be. But like here we have almost I don't know, the stories do have their similarities every so often anyway. But like, well, because I was just gonna say, because they cut through the storm, and that made me think of Aqua Laguna. So where they cut through a tidal wave.
That wouldn't have happened yet, though,
No,
right?
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. And then later on, we have an arc that deals with the underwater city of fish people and racism.
Yeah, and that definitely didn't happen. So,
yeah, exactly.
Oda ripping off Mashima?
Or, no. Mashima found a time machine. He went to the future, read One Piece, and then ripped it off before it could even happen in the present. I don't know. Because, yeah, these volumes were officially released in 2004. I caught up to One Piece in like 2006 when Enies Lobby was still going. So, Aqua Laguna would not have happened yet. Fishman Island would definitely not have happened yet. So I just thought it was interesting where it's like, because I'm seeing the similarities because because that's a thing that sometimes I see YouTubers doing where they saw it first. So they see it for the first time and they assume this must be the first time it's ever been done, even though there's like probably decades worth of anime and manga they haven't touched yet. And Rave is one that understandably people wouldn't touch. Because like unless you'd already like watched or read it as a kid or were specifically interested in Hiro Mashima, I don't like. Maybe some people do like it. Some people do say it's better than Fairy Tail, but like Fairy Tail has such a negative reputation. I'm sorry, I was caused part of that. But yeah, so I guess I'm not specifically sure why someone would want to go out of their way to read Rave. Speaking of someone who went out of their way to read Rave, so I can bitch about it in a video. God damn it. But yeah, it's just kind of it's interesting to see the similarities because like nothing's happened that made me go like, oh, Naruto. Though if we read hypothetically, if we read Ninku, which is not translated anyway, like there's one thing like a move the main character does that's like straight up a Rasengan. Because Kishimoto was influenced by Ninku. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't like jumping about like, oh, plagiarism, oh, they're ripping it off. Because, like, we don't know the intent of the author when they were taking, from, like, it might have been an accident, it might have just been a coincidence, it might have been deliberate plagiarism. I don't, I as an audience member, we can only kind of guess. So, cryptomnesia is a thing. Like, yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, I guess on the topic of like the entrance gate thing getting blown up, see, I don't think I have any examples in front of me, but I feel like having we're setting this thing up and then not having anything necessarily come of it, how it feels kind of like a waste. I don't know. I thought I didn't keep a record of it, so I'm not sure, but I feel like there was something else that kind of gave me that vibe, that like, oh, why did we do this? But I can't remember what it was. So I'll just have to keep that in mind for later to just see if that's a Mashima trademark.
Right, because I mean, like, because yeah, they the bad shit happens and they don't give up, and that's super cool and positive, and they're thinking forwards. That's nice. So it's not like there's zero meaning in it, but it does kind of render, like, because that's arbitrarity. Like, why did this previous thing have to happen? If it was just going to be ignored anyway. So yeah. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, they cut through the storm and they reach Symphonia, which is a giant, complete wasteland. And there were some neat moments later, but this, I've also thought, like, I mean, I wish the arc was in a more, like, interesting, like, setting. Like, I guess it can't be helped because it's just a wasteland, like a completely dead, empty region. But I guess, like, yeah, some relatively big things happen here, even though, like, so it would have been just neat to see, interesting happens in a more interesting happenings in a more interesting location, I guess. But the happenings were still interesting. Because yeah, they found the map that has all the rave stones.
There was locations. The part.
Oh yes, go on.
Like while they were going through the storm, when Haru was like hanging on to the ship because he's the Rave Master, so he had to like guide them. And he specifically says something like, "I'll be your compass." And then later here, I don't know exactly what the significant connection is, but when Ellie has to like use her migraine powers to find the connection to Rave, she says the same thing. She's like, "I'll be your compass." So I don't know, Haru and Ellie board connections, so that's cool.
I'll have to try and remember that for later, if there's anything of note there. But yeah, I also kind of like the interaction with Let, where like she's tired, she's because she's having her migraines from the whatever's happening with her brain, because she's remembering weird shit. And Haru's like, "Oh, we should, maybe we should go back." We've gone far enough for today. And Haru's, Haru's trying to protect her, and Let's like, "No, we should respect her determination to actually like get shit done and help her go forward, not like coddle her and push her back." And Haru kind of like, Haru changes his mind. Like, Let has a good point. Neat character interaction. And yeah, and because they put, he changed his mind, they were able to get the map. So yeah. But yeah, after they get that map, the rave lights vanish and are replaced with black lights, and Lucia comes in. How did you feel about this guy?
That's right. There was the part where back at the casino where one of the minions saw Haru, and when Haru was like, "I'm the Rave Master," he was like, "Wait, you're the Rave Master? I thought it was a kid with blonde hair. Well, never mind." And then you have this, what is he, the blonde demon or whatever they call him? So that was a neat bit of like setup. Because at first I was like, "Wait, what do you mean blonde hair? He's always had gray, white,
silver." Yeah,
silver,
I guess oh yeah, that's right. The word for blonde hair in Japanese is kinpatsu, which is gold. So gold and silver. I only just realized that now. Because yeah, Lucia would have gold hair or blonde, and Haru has this silver/gray hair. So I didn't think about that. I mean, because later on we have a gold and silver claiming, and shit, the gold guy is the antagonist and the silver guy is the protagonist. I didn't realize that either. Like, I don't know if there's anything notable there, but it's like consistent at least. So, but but yeah, he comes in. He's built up to be really fucking strong because he took out like what they were talking about, how all these organizations, they took out like this amount of organizations in this amount of time, but Lucia's done like more than any of them in just 4 days. And then he also gathered Oration Sace. They weren't dead after all. What a twist. And we get introduced to the last one who hadn't I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. What vowels? Too many vowels. And Haja the Infinite. He's easier to say. And as we find out later, Lucia is King's son. And actually, if you check the flashback again, like King's flashback in the Tower of Din arc, Lucia, like his son was given a slightly more like detailed character design. Then so I remember like rereading that and noticing that like it was much more deliberate, and I'm sure his scars are even consistent because he has like the one under his eye and then the two under his bandana that you see later on when he takes it off. So I'm pretty sure that in the flashback you had he probably had cuts in those same locations. So, oh damn it! I want to make a reference here, but you wouldn't understand it because you haven't gone through JoJo yet. Lucia steals Ellie's first kiss because that's like the evilest thing you could do, apparently.
Well, I mean, I have at least seen the first episode of the anime, so I know.
Okay, so you do know the reference. You thought your first kiss would be with her, but it was with me, Lucia. So, I don't know if that's a direct reference, because maybe he has read JoJo, but,
I was going to say, I don't think he directly says that quote.
No,
so maybe
he does not. That was what Dio says, but, I swapped out the names. But yeah, Lucia, it's interesting, because, like, Lucia has no interest in fighting, but the Oration Sace, there's 5 of them, but Oration Cinco doesn't roll off the tongue the same way. But yeah, they're kind of more interested in fighting. And yeah, did you have any thoughts about the fighting? Because there was quite a bit, but there was a couple little details. Like, I thought it's funny that they have all these like super elemental dark blings, and Shuda didn't have shit. Like, he was bullied. He didn't get anything. Like, they're he's the weakest of us anyway. Like,
I did think it was a little strange that the fighting just kind of like I don't know, like the characters just showed up out of nowhere and it's like, okay, here are fights now. But obviously this was to set up later conflicts. Like, nothing was really resolved here. So
right. There was some, like, advancement, like, Let got some big moments with turning into a person. So there, you commented to me in private where, like, you commented last time, Let, he might be my aesthetic character. And when, of course, you said that, I was like, I wonder what Mathwiz is going to feel about later. And then, how did you feel about later, Mathwiz?
Oh, yeah, because he gets into a fight with Jigan, and, or I don't know how you pronounce that name. But
I would pronounce it Jigan, so yeah, you're...
there's the dragon race, what do they call it? The dragon challenge, or whatever the heck.
Yes.
If you fail, I you will lose your humanity. You will live your life as a beast. So, clearly, Kubo ripped off Mashima with Komamura. Stole that from Let.
Mashima is fucking trailblazing here with all these shonen manga tropes, and the big 3 just like ripped off Mashima. We don't know how Kishimoto did it yet, but we know he did. It's just true. I don't know.
But yeah, I'm not as big of a fan of the redesign for Let, because he doesn't have the wild Super Saiyan 3 hair. He doesn't have the little, like, what the heck is that called? The thing he wraps around his head, the headband, where it like covers his eyes and gives him that edgy shadow. He doesn't have that anymore. He obviously he got like different outfits, so he doesn't have the like scaly jacket thing, whatever it is. He's just less cool all around. So that's
definitely less aesthetic. Yeah, very sad. Though, as far as like what I noticed with the fights, it's like, especially with like Haru with Lucia, Musica with Reina, and Let with Jigan, like and even Ellie with the whole Symphonia in general, like they're all kind of like dealing with their pasts, so to speak. And yeah, it is setting up for later, but it's also consistent, pretty consistent in like those actually like that aspect of the conflict, I think. Because yeah, I mean it does not get resolved, but like the Reina Musica stuff does come back way later, and we learn about the Silver Ray and how Reina's dad made it, and the person who took Musica in supposedly stole it, and so now they've got that conflict going on. Arize, that was the name of Musica's mentor, who took him in after the Musica family was killed. That's right. Oh yeah, and Ellie had a moment where she like, she doesn't want everyone to protect her, so which factors into like sort of Let's comment earlier. And oh, that's right. Remember how last time I talked about how like Aration Stace was like, "Oh yeah, Sieg, you're an important member of Demon Card, but you're one of the you're weaker than us Aration Stace." But then he comes in and the 5 members of the Aration Stace shit their pants and are like, "Okay, we gotta go." Like,
yeah, he got quite the power boost in the little 6-month time skip, whatever happened. Because before, like, he was kind of like Haru was able to go toe to toe with him, and like as you said, he was supposedly not even as strong as the 5 remaining members of this group. And then he just comes back and he's got this like big
cosmic fucking explosion and fucking like nukes the whole area, and Haja, a man with infinite magic, says, "Oh yeah, well done, Sieg, like you're pretty powerful." Like, he's recognizing him. Like, I mean, and Haja was the like it was mentioned that he was the only one of them who wasn't injured, and like I think it was like, yeah, we could win if we fought, but there would only be the Ration 1 because Ration Uno, because Haja would be the only one left after the fighting was over. So, yeah, they decided to leave. Oh, and there was a fake death. There you go, Karabe. There's your fake death counter, because Griff got cut in half by the beauty guy whose name I refuse to pronounce, but he was completely fine because he's like a jelly thing anyway. So
I don't know. Like, on one hand, I want to be mad about that because like, but like I don't care about Griff. So like even with the fake death, I don't know, but like. It's fine because it did like the character moment for Ellie or whatever where she like channeled some of her power or whatever, but it's like if anyone, because then it's like, would I have rather had it be a fake death for a more important character, because then fake death for this important character, that's more room for like emotional manipulation there, whereas like Griff there were no emotions because Griff is the exposition boy. He's
Yeah, like even in his like character moment where he's like, when he protects Ellie before he was like mostly thinking about the pervert shit he does, and I'm like, Griff, what if you actually died? That'd be good.
Yeah.
Though what I'm wondering is because like the fake death shit, like I feel like that especially comes out of like probably Jump because of the importance of like the weekly rankings, and how and how they affect those kind of incidents affect the votes. Those kind of incidents affect the votes. I don't know how like weekly, because this is a weekly Shounen magazine, and I don't know how stringent they are about that. So I'm just wondering if like Mashima's fake death thing is because he happens to like the Jump stories that do that, or if it's because they there's a aspect of that competitive like weekly ranking system in the magazines. So. I mean, there probably it's possibly is. It just might not be as strict as Jump, because Jump is very like they cull. I don't know how many series they cull a year, but but like series go. That's just an inevitable fact. Like I don't know how long manga publications are supposed to like stay consistent. I don't know. I need to like look at a lot of data to make a statement. Or you were gonna say something? Sorry.
Well, I mean, in like. There are other moments later in this stretch of chapters where there are like fake death moments, and I didn't think for a second that like, oh, these characters definitely died here. So I don't know why Griff is the one that gets me. Maybe it's just like he shouldn't be an important. I don't want him to be an important character because he's a bad character. But then like here's a moment where like he gets a character moment. He gets a chance to do something. Like Mashima's trying to make him a better character, and I'm like, no, stop. Just keep him out of the story. So I don't know what I want. I'm being hypocritical.
I'm sorry, I just think it's funny because it's like it's Griff. No one, I don't know. Like I almost said no one likes Griff, but he's the 6th most popular character in the entire story as of the last popularity poll. So just fucking shoot me. Like, why? I don't know. Cause I'd say like see at least Cullen had like a good arc in the first the substitute Soul Reaper thing in Bleach, like he's a little pervert imp mascot thing, but at least he had good moments. Griff is just like I don't particularly care for you. Like I don't know, the fake deaths don't even like phase me anymore because I'm thinking about the later ones with Musica and Ellie, and I'm just like and especially because I already know about them. So
he also feels kind of weird because like if we're talking about mascot characters, we already have Plu. I mean, like, Plu doesn't really talk or anything.
And Plu's much better. He doesn't talk. He's kind of cute sometimes. And, like, I've said, like, I don't know, like, the jokes are sometimes kind of weird, but at the same time, this stretch chapter started out with a joke I liked about Plu. So, yes, Plu deserves 2nd place as far as character popularity goes. At least more than Griff deserves 6th. So, this has become the Griff bullying podcast.
I mean, it is interesting that Oda. Oh God, no!
Didn't you call Oda Kubo or something like that? Or
I think I did.
And next time we're gonna read Kishimoto's Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, fuck. No, wait. I don't know.
Oh God, no! If we're gonna be talking about Togashi and I accidentally refer to him as Mashima, I will quit the podcast forever.
Oh God. That would be terrible. I mean, we're not reading Yu Yu Hakusho next. We're reading Fairy Tail next, but still.
But I forget what I was gonna say now. Forget it. Oh no, wait. Mashima. I do like how he's got these characters who are like you don't even know what creatures they are. They're just like whatever he can come up with. Because you had like Nakajima, who's this flower thing. Plu is like, what are you? And then it's the same with Griff. He's just like a blob.
An octopus blob. The tiki head, he just kind of throws things together. So, I think it adds to like the whimsical like I like Dragon Ball for the whimsy, where it's just like there's just science and magic and gods, and it's like Toriyama doesn't give a fuck. And this series also kind of has some of that. Like I noticed with the magic system, like with Fairy Tail, we haven't read it yet, obviously, but there's like just magic. Whereas with Rave Master, there's like guns and alchemy. And silver claiming, like, what is it? It's like a telekinesis with, like, metal. Like, he just, there's, like, psychic powers. He just, like, throws shit in there. Necromancy comes up this art. Like, it's just, like, whatever. He just whatever. And so, it's not, the rule system is kind of weird, as we'll talk. Oh, the elemental system is just, like, hurts my brain. And of course there's that moment you messaged me about that I also mentioned in my tirade video because it's just so Mashima. But we'll get to that. So anyway, like I said, the fighting cools down, and Sieg is on their side. He's saying that the Rave and Etherion and Ellie's memory are key to saving the planet. So yeah. Oh yeah, so anyway, Demon Card leaves. They go back to their place to find Lucia waiting for them. I don't know how he got there so fast, because they seem to have flown through Haja's powers. And Lucia just ran really quick, I guess. I don't know, I just think it's funny to point out dumb plot holes that don't matter like that sometimes.
Well, I mean, wasn't or no, wait, that's right, he destroyed the big ship that he stole to get into the place, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Oh yeah, shit, maybe he did. Because now I forgot about the ship, so I thought he walked away. That was how did he? Oh, that's right. The storm cleared away because of Ellie's Etherion briefly activated, right? Or was that? Yes. Or was it C? Yes, that was okay. Yeah, so that cleared away the storm. So yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna think about it too hard. So yeah, But yeah, so Hajan, and then we get the name drop of Lucia Raregroove. He is indeed King's son. Oh, and I like, Haru's response is nice. Like, he doesn't care about the fated destiny of the Glory and the Raregroove bloodlines, like, fighting or whatever. He just, like, he made Ellie cry. And I'm like, wait, that line sounds familiar. But I'm not going to tell that. Oh, yeah, so we found out that, like, well, because, like, there's King had the sword that's, like, the alternate to the 10 Commandments with the 10 forms, but evil. And yet now there's also an evil Rave, which is the Mother Dark Bling Sinclair, which is in 5 pieces. Well, see, and Sinclair works differently because, like, with the Rave, they're separated and they're supposed to be found by one person, whereas with the Sinclair, the 5 pieces kind of like find. They choose someone, and the main piece chose Lucia because he was in the prison, being pissed off at everything. Because understandably, he kind of had a shitty childhood, and then he was thrown in prison. So yeah, I don't know. Makes sense.
That reminds me, because there are these like parallels being set up between the Rave and the Darkbrings. And when there was like the thing before where Sieg had, like, when he first was trying to kill Ellie, he was like, oh, her power is like, it can be used for, it can cause like great destruction or the opposite of destruction. And so like you have Rave, which is like the good, and then you have, and that's represented by Haru, and then you have this guy, who he's a demon boy, he's a bad boy, he can use that power for destruction, and so I don't know, that's why he got like all up close and personal with Ellie, because like he wants to use that power for evil, or like he has the potential. So like this is kind of the like, I don't know. And then like when Sieg came back, he wasn't like, oh, I gotta kill Ellie, he's like, I gotta protect Ellie. So like he's seen the light. But there's still sort of this with Lucia being around, like he is kind of that, here is the danger that her power possesses. Like, this guy can make use of that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, a big thing is that they have to figure out Ellie's memories, and that should so yeah, well, there's still that big mystery being set up that, like I said last time, Mashima already has the answers in mind, so he's just got to get to them, but yeah. Oh yeah, and it's like the Ellie, the name and numbers, they were originally supposed to be like, because she's an experiment, it's her experiment number, but they never even got to 3,000 experiments, they only got to like 200, and no, it's actually the coordinates for this mysterious, skeleton boy, and like this forest and this place that was preserved, and the skeleton has like the exact same amulet that Ellie wears, except older. So there's some weird spooky shit going on. We do get a flashback for young Ellie living in the middle of a shack in the middle of the woods, basically, with her parents. And though it's not really complete, like, we just kind of see her living there, and then she has a Therion. There's a dude with a mustache and an eye tattoo who doesn't look like Sieg at all. There's like 4 characters with eye tattoos now I think about it. Because there's Sieg, Kaim, that's what this guy's name is. Then there's Jagan and Jeeg in the Empire. So like, Mashima's grown attached to those eye tattoos, I guess, in this series. Because in the later ones, I'm pretty sure the Sieg heart parallel is the only one with the eye tattoo thing going on. I haven't fully read Eden Zero and it's not over, but in Fairy Tail I'm pretty sure it's only Jalal who we will become, or no, Sieg, or I forget what, we'll become intimately familiar with him. God, I still can't wait to get to Fairy Tail. It's going to be painful. Oh, in a fun way, I hope. But yeah, Mashima's continually building up the mystery. Did you have any thoughts about that? Or...
not particularly.
Okay. I think this is where the anime ends. It does not end at the Tower of Din, it ends with, like, after this stuff. So it's like, so this is where it ends. Like, Haru's saying he's going to surpass Sieg in Swords and Magic. They go off on their ship, and that's the end of the anime, I think. I never actually watched it. I just went through footage for my video. So any final thoughts on the Symphonia arc, or?
Ooh, so wait, you're saying that the anime ends here, like it doesn't go any further than
Nope.
That's not even like a. Oh, okay. That's like not even a conclusion.
Nope. It's that's the classic anime of the adventures continues on, because sometimes they'll do the adventure like, did you ever watch Shirobako?
Yes.
Yeah, so like that was the whole question during the second half when they were dealing with the adaptation of the Air Force show, where it's like, do we do the adventure continues ending, or do we come up with an anime original one? Because that's how they have to have that question like answered as they adapt a series that's not finished yet. So in this case, the studio went with the adventure goes on. And that basically read the fucking manga ending. So, and yeah.
Because I've been wondering how far the anime adapted, but yes. Not very far, apparently.
Now, I'm wondering if maybe after Fairy Tail, maybe they'll readapt it. I don't know. Now, because like they've been doing that with a lot of older series, like Karakuri Circus is getting adapted right now. Hunter x Hunter, you're very familiar with it as an adaptation. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood was like readapting old series, so it could happen with Rave.
I guess it would depend, like, because I feel like the stuff that's getting readapted are like more popular stuff that are probably better, like, able to be marketed again. Was Rave popular? I don't know.
It was, I believe it was pretty successful, like not as successful as Fairy Tail, because I think Fairy Tail had more international success, and the anime is still going, so it's like, yeah, but
well, yeah, then again, I guess like they could always, like, with the success of Fairy Tail, you could make Rave, you could, like, I don't know, there'd be more investment, like, from the creator of Fairy Tail, so I don't know, maybe it would work.
Exactly, yeah, so, yeah, and I don't know, what I remember seeing through the footage of the first Fairy Tail, at least the first season, was that they would like fix issues and inconsistencies. So like in some ways, the Fairy Tail anime at least starts off better than the manga. So I'm wondering if like with Rave, they'll like sort of go through and like tweak some things. Like maybe it could be better as an anime than a manga. And since it's complete, they know exactly how to like pace it to adapt everything reasonably. So I don't know. It could be interesting. Like I don't know. I think the new adaptations of old stuff can be neat. So. Like, I mean, there's some, like, with Karakuri Circus, like, the manga is, like, 400 plus chapters. The anime is slated to be 36 episodes. So, they're having to make some cuts. Like, I have been enjoying the adaptation, but, yeah, there's definitely some cool shit they're leaving out. So, anyway, but no, I do not have anything resembling an arc ranking, at the moment. I really should probably start thinking about it, especially now that we're halfway done. But yeah, we get to there's like a few like in between chapters of Mashima, like okay, see, I want to say dicking around, but then there's like this one with this Alice guy who's got bunny ears, and he's like dicking around with the main characters, like he body swaps them, and then he turns out to be like plot relevant later, because his like the elixir he gives turns out to be important during a later fight in a serious thing about like against the Ghost Attack Squad, and it's like, what? Like this goofy chapter turned out to be relevant like 50 chapters later? Like that's okay, or 30, closer to 30, 20 to 30 I think, but still. So that was dumb.
Yeah, I mean, there were some interesting things going on in these little bits. I did like the part where like they got body swapped and Musica was going to do something. It's like, oh, that's right, your arm is broken, and he's just like, ow.
Yes. Oh, and Plu was swapped into Musica and trying to eat bugs or something. Like it was silly. But yeah.
Yeah, but this one wasn't like the. Because again, we just read One Piece, so I'm like, oh, this wasn't like the Punk Hazard stuff where. Like, this wasn't, like, a whole arc where characters were in different bodies.
Yeah, or at least it was just, like, a few pages of a chapter instead of, like, several chapters. Yeah. So, yeah, I get what you mean. Oh, yeah, and then after that, they went to an island of people who are, like, the Nakajima, the sunflower dudes on walls.
Okay, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, wait, was that this stretch of chapters? Did that happen before? Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm so lost with this story at times. Like, there's so much happening.
Well, because I'm wondering, because I remember the Ever Frame a Painting video of, like, Michael Bay's movies, where it's like, or no, maybe it was Lindsay Ellis. shit, I'm forgetting. Where it's like, it's so, the movies are so busy that it's easy to just forget things that happen in the movies because, like, there's no contrast. Like, if it's all constantly going, there's no slow moments to, like, take, to contrast with the movement. And yeah, I wouldn't say, like, it's always like that, but maybe that's part of it, where it's just like, yeah, because here's these just 2 or 3, like, goofy chapters in a row, and they don't seem, and that's the other thing, is they don't seem relevant, but both of them do become relevant. So I guess I gotta give props to Mashima there, because like the one where they go to the island of sunflower people, that was a bit more direct because they get a straight up prophecy, and with things that are all like are likely to happen, and I think some of them do, and of course like the Alice potion becoming relevant later on, but yeah, I'm rereading the prophecies to see. Because Musica would be presented with 2 critical choices, and I'm assuming one of them had to do with the Raina stuff in his later fight. I forget the other one. Ellie will encounter great sadness that she can't remember. See, I don't even know what's referring, because it's so vague. It could be anything. Like, see, Ruby's was actually like the most direct, because he's like, you will draw your blade in a fateful encounter, and sure enough, he gets a sword during the Doryu fight. So, Let will lose something precious. I forget. I don't know. Maybe some of these haven't happened yet, so I have no idea. But yeah, that happened. Foreshadowing. Very direct foreshadowing. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, because it's like, it's not a cover story, but it's like an end of volume story where there's a kid named Levin who's interacting with Nakajima, and like they just do goofy antics. But there was a time, like, you noticed that there was like a timeline thing that said that this happens like 10 years after the events of Rave Master.
Yeah.
So this kid hasn't even been born yet. And you showed me a panel. Where was that page from that you showed me? Was it in between chapters? Because I don't think it was at the end of a volume. Because I checked the end of all the volumes.
It was.
And I didn't see that one.
Well, all the comics are. Well, actually, no. This one was different because a lot of the time the comics are like at the end of the volume, but this one in particular was like. I think it was in like maybe the last, like I forget which one it was from, but it was from like way late into the arc, like right before, like right after there was like, oh, the 3rd Rave Master, and then like in the next volume it was like after the first chapter in that volume there's like a panel, and it's like, hey, it's older Haru and older Ellie, and they're the parents of this kid. You see, like, Mashima was doing some weird things with this, with these little comics that kind of, like, I was starting to have suspicions. Like, there was the timeline thing, and
Yes.
then, right before this one in the previous volume, there was, like, a girl who gets introduced, and she's like, oh,
Rose, yes.
yeah, and she's like, my mom's a movie star, or something about her parents. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean those people from the last...
yeah,
whatever.
that's what I was thinking. The Thunder arc with the those 2 guys. Yeah, now I've forgotten both of their names, but yeah, where it's like you have they were connected to movies, so I'm like, yeah, is that what he's referencing here with her? But so it's like there's yes, there's a connection. And then yeah, see, because when I looked through, I did not see the Haru Ellie one that you're referring to, where you see, apparently Levin's parents are Haru and Ellie. And we see like a look of them in the future, which like you said, it spoils any fake deaths around either of these characters. Because like there's a part where Ellie drinks poison, except not really.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. I was like, wait, okay, because again, it was like, obviously these characters aren't gonna die because that's the shonen thing to do that. So I was like, well, then what's gonna be the excuse? And she's like, oh, I was just playing dead. And I feel like that's something that, if you had been reading it weekly or whatever, or I don't know, maybe even like reading the volumes, because there's a significant gap between the fake out and the reveal. So I could see that definitely being a moment where people are like, ugh, but death fake out. Yeah.
Well, that one especially is interesting because like Ellie probably wouldn't kill herself just because like she's Etherion. Like her death would bring major consequences, like she already released some of it back on Symphonia. So it's not something she would actually do, so her faking her death is like the only way that makes sense. And I literally only just realized that right now thinking about the earlier stuff, because like, so but the enemies wouldn't know that necessarily. Like they wouldn't know the risks of her like dying. Like they even come in and say, "Hey, kill yourself." So I hadn't thought about that aspect to it. So it's like, yeah, there's at least in that, like the Rave Master third Rave Master thing was kind of like, oh, okay, but the Ellie fake death, at least it doesn't make sense why she would actually die. So it's like, if you thought she was actually dead for like any reason, like you're both A, probably not paying attention to her character, and B, like have never read a shonen story ever, or even like even if you've read Rave up to this point, you've experienced several fake character deaths, so you should fucking know by now.
I mean, and like there was even the supposed reasons to do it, like, oh, the two guys are dead, but obviously she would never believe that they're dead unless she sees it, because she says as much pretty much. But yeah, there are some moments that are a little weird, maybe a little more like contrived in their setup. Like there's one later with Haru where a bunch of stuff is set up ahead of time to like lean into this idea, and it very quickly is shown to not be that. But that's like at the end of the reading.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember what you're talking about, but we will get there. But yeah, so that was a bit of a aside for those, and for that note, because yeah, it's like, yeah, he's, I see, I don't remember this being, I'm pretty sure I skipped it the last time too, because I don't remember any of these little like side comics amounting to anything, but maybe I just didn't read them. So yeah, I'll try and pay attention this time.
Well, even then, like we're still at a point in the timeline where it's like they won't be for another 10 years, and it seems to be like after Haru's journey is over, but I don't know.
Yeah, that
so it's like even like even if like this like reveal thing happens, like, oh, okay, so they get they have a kid at some point later. Is that gonna affect the ongoing narrative at all? I don't know. It might not even be important. It might just be Mashima messing with the audience.
Yeah, as he's apt to do. So anyway, moving on. We're back with Demon Card. He reveals that, or they reveal that Deep Snow is a traitor, and he's they've been fucking with the Empire, so the Empire's weaker now. So shit could get bad. Oh yeah, we get a cut to the Empire where like everything's just ruined because of Deep Snow. Oh yeah, and then the Ghost Attack Squad and Onigami have joined forces. So as if things couldn't get any worse. Oh yeah, we get a scene with Lucia having the throne restored, and you get to, I don't know, it's kind of neat to see the Eration Sace in like formal clothing, like with Raina's got her hair up. I don't know, I was like, hey, and Lucia looks kind of weird without his bandana though. I just want to say, I don't know what, something about the eyes and the forehead, like I don't know what it is, but he just looks a little off to me. Oh. Okay, no, not quite yet. There's one really weird scene that I definitely want to talk about, but there's just like a page. It's where there's a woman who happens to look like Ellie saying, talking about something about the endless, and there's a longer scene later. But before that, there's a bit of a thing in a cave where they're taking like a shortcut or something, and Haru falls in a spring, and an evil Haru comes out and immediately tries to start sexually assaulting Ellie, because that's how bad guys do, I guess. And Plu turns like all like dark and evil and stabs Griff with his nose, so it's like whatever. But then the real Haru comes out. Okay, and here's where the weird thing happens, because this time it's not Ellie, but it's Haru who sees something. And he sees a vision of the criminal Raisha Valentine in the time vortex outside of like eternity, where she's being punished for an unknown crime, forced to walk like eternally. Like for her, in the real world, 51 years have passed, but for her, it's 20,000, and she can't speak to defend herself. So nope, another 20,000. And it's like, what the fuck? And I think my bafflement is interesting because I've already read the manga, so I know what happens, and this is still weird to me. So
that's not a good sign.
No, No, it's not. Well, because, like, and I forgot that it was, like, Haru is the one who saw that dream, and Lucia. Like, Lucia wakes up in his bed, and, like, neither of them know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe I just completely missed something. I did that several times reading before my first read through the series, because I was angry and looking for reasons to dislike it, which is not a good mindset to go into anything. But at the same time, like, what the fuck? I don't know. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, they get attacked by a monster. I did kind of like Haru's bit about, like, where it's like, you know, he doesn't kill the monster because, like, it's just an animal. So, you know, he's a nice boy, I guess. And he even gives it food and, like, wait, and it smiles. So it's like, yeah, Haru's good. He's a good boy. Oh, and we get a look at Doryu and Ogre, who are the leaders of the two groups. They've both got their Sinclair pieces, get their full designs, because they're apparently messing with some mermaids. And yeah, I guess we're going into the last arc, which is long. Yeah, it's like almost 40 chapters. So I think that makes the longest arc in the story thus far. Because I think Tower of Din was only like 25 or so. Maybe a little long, maybe closer to 30, but still. But yeah, it starts out, they meet Celia, like they're messing around the ocean, and they meet, you know, she becomes a pretty important character for the arc. So yeah, they rescue her, and she takes them back to her home, which is completely destroyed by Onigami, since it turns out mermaids have a lot of magic. Oh yeah, there's like a bit of initial conflict where, like, Celia doesn't want them to interfere because, you know, it's a mermaid matter, but Haru, you know, he's like, we can't just ignore injustice happening in front of us, so they step in and help anyway. Yeah, it takes a while for the arc to get a bit more interesting, at least for me personally, but a little while at least, because like there's some fighting, they're having trouble underwater, but magic works, I guess, and Haru gets a new sword, and I mean, maybe it's supposed to be attached to the character moment of him, like, deciding to fight anyway. I'm not sure. Even though Celia told him not to. But, so yeah, that happens. But yeah, it's just a lot of fighting. And I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, that's right. They meet Oni, who looks like Griff, but he's got a horn on his head. Okay.
Because we definitely needed another one of these.
Exactly. Oh, okay, and then, anyway, while they're fighting, is an interesting moment where, like, Haru's being turned to stone, because, like, Haru's whole thing is, you know, he doesn't want sacrifice. Like, he didn't want Ellie to be sacrificed for world peace, he doesn't want anyone to sacrifice themselves for him, and yet, so here you have, like, he's being turned to stone, and the mermaids, use their magic, and he's arguing against it, even though, like, they end up saving his lives, and he, like, so he's, it's kind of interesting because he basically wins because of their help he doesn't want. So actually, shit. Now they say it like that, I'm now comparing it to, like, Celia in the first place, where it's like she didn't want help from the humans, and, you know, the humans helped, so they were able to win. So I didn't think. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, maybe I feel like this is still like an ongoing, like, thread, though, because it obviously ties back to Haru earlier, where, you know, he didn't want sacrifice. And there's at least one moment later I know it comes up again, though I'm not sure how satisfying that will be. But it's still an ongoing conflict, and I'm not sure if it will get how it will be resolved. But it's just I mean, I guess none of the mermaids did die. Like, he was able to fight with their help, you know, without them actually dying. But yeah, it's definitely a concern that's been routinely brought up. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, because I figured, like, with how the Tower of Din conflict kind of resolved, how Haru didn't want sacrifice, and yet, like, both ended up sacrificing themselves, like his father and King. So it was like he wasn't strong enough to, like, carry out that desire to not have sacrifice, I guess. So it's still something he needs to, like, become stronger to actually carry out, maybe.
Yeah, and in this instance, he used the strength he got from the mermaids to end the fight before they actually died. So, So there's at least some advancement there, because Haru's getting like, that's the thing, because like before, like they even Doryu even mentioned, like Haru's like, oh yeah, I beat King, and Doryu's like, bitch, you had help from your dad who was just as strong. But no, this time Haru and the group did defeat Doryu, who is supposedly, roughly as strong or even stronger than King. So they're getting stronger. Haru's getting more sword forms. They're Musica got Silver Ray, so like they're all getting boosted, getting power ups. Oh yeah, Ellie actually like has a fight and wins, and I'm like, what? That's not supposed to happen. The Shonen girls aren't supposed to get fights. The Shonen girls aren't supposed to win. Mashima, you're breaking the rules. Yeah, like, and the dude even uses like thunder, which is like Ellie's weakness. But she like fights on past that fear and wins, and it's cool.
Yeah, it was a cool little moment.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. It was cool. It's good.
I also like how Let had his fight, and he's going up against a guy who can like go through walls, and he gets dragged into the wall, and his solution is like, well, okay, I'll just break the wall.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because also, like, I just realized, like, look at the pages again, because he's being looked down for being human when he's not actually human. He's a dragon. So like and it's kind of already building up into and this same with the Celia stuff earlier, where it's building into like the racial conflict, where of humans and non-humans, because here you have a non-human. I think he's not. Yeah, he's an Oni. He's looking down on what he appears to be a human for being weaker. He's doing the Arlong thing, but except he's not fighting but he's fighting another non-human who wins. Because he's like superior. So that's kind of an interesting like alteration on the idea. So although I did have one particular observation with Doryu later regarding that. So like I'm not sure if there's like enough for there to be like one full cohesive idea. But there are ideas here, so maybe I'll think of something as I keep going. But yeah, Let wins his battle too, and then Ellie gets captured because she runs in the poor thing. She like has a victory, she gets a W, a win, and then she like runs into Doryu and Onigami, like the two leaders with their two Sinclairs, and and it's like oh, like fucking Doryu is like really fucking strong in particular. Like Onigami too, actually, because he needs fucking like Raina, like one of the fucking Oration Stace and Musica with a to beat him. So like goddamn, they're strong, and Ellie just runs right into that. So very sad. But yeah, they take Ellie to Musica tries to defend her, and he gets killed, except not really. Like I'm pretty sure there's even a moment where like Raina she's her connection, she knows about Musica, so she like reacts to his quote unquote death. So he's like driving home to like fake out more, even though like I'm assuming what happened is he got teleported away and turned into a werewolf, because he does come back later. But yeah, Mashima, it's a Mashima fake death. Of course it is. That's his trademark. So yeah. But yeah, Ellie is captured because Aetherion makes a better power source for their cannon than the mermaids. Oh yeah, there's a moment where like there's the big old laser, and there's a bunch of weird explanation shit, but the end of it is that like Haru and Ellie together are able to like stop the cannon and make it useless. So anyway, Haru boards Doryu's ship because he's trying to stop him and get Ellie back and such, and Doryu reveals his plan too. He wants a world where the sun never rises, because he's a spooky vampire boy. Or a demon, I forget what race he is, but he's not human. Oh, right after Doryu leaves, they run into the terrifying, the most fearsome of the mass murderers, Cookie Crusher. Like, see, I'm wondering what his name was in the original Japanese. What was it like with what Roman, like Cookie Crusher? I don't know how you would pronounce it, but like. It's just funny because it's like this terrifying, horrible mass murderer.
Yeah.
It's dumb. But he's a vampire, or he's a zombie, brought back to life by Doryu. He's got a powerful dark bring, and they beat him anyway, with the sunlight. Oh, and they set up the light dark affinity stuff that comes up later. More events just happening one after the other. because there's like the doctor who made all the werewolves, and then there's the musical werewolf, and who Haru recognizes. And the doctor turns into a skeleton. Oh, here's the line where Musica's like, "Sorry, I had a bone to pick with him," and it's like, yep, there. See, I think this was the moment where I'm just like, oh yeah, I haven't seen any weird translation things, and then Mashima was like, "I had a bone to pick with that guy," and I'm like, motherfucker. and yeah, here's where the Alice elixir comes in because it restored Musica back to his normal state. So yeah, that things happened.
Oh, I had forgotten. There was a place like I don't even remember which place it was. If there where it was a place that was mentioned. I don't remember what happened there. So where it's even in regards to all these events, but there was a place called South Southernburg or whatever.
I mean, that's right. The prophecies did say they were going to the south, so I guess the town name drove that home.
I guess you could say things went south in South Southernburg.
Woo. See, I can't even blame Rave for doing this because you were doing this back with One Piece. So, no one. I guess you just click with Rave, huh? Is it going to be your new favorite manga? I don't know. Tired sigh. Oh yeah, there's also a bit of a moment where Musica is like lamenting over his failure and his inability to control himself as a werewolf, and Haru's just like, "Shut the fuck up! You know, you're alive now, so whatever. You know, it's fine." He punches him, friendship punch, because that's what friends do. They punch each other in the fucking face. That's like the most shonen thing.
Although, come to think of it, I don't think Musica hasn't really had much in the way of like a character growth power-up moment. Like, I feel like his abilities have been kind of standard from the beginning.
Musica?
Yeah, Musica.
Yeah, his strength has been pretty consistent until this arc where he does have a character growth power moment thing with Raina and the Silver Ray. So, and character growth, I don't know, I have to think about that. Because he's had some little moments, like earlier with, he was like saying, well, okay, kill me, because he was like, what, Raina, you're completely justified. But then he realized that there was more to the story. So, and then of course there's this later fight. So I'd have to, I forget if I noticed anything like character moment wise.
Musica, like, it was a moment. Can't die. Mashima still needs you.
Yes. Because like Haru's sometimes had some moments, like sometimes with like the gravity sword, I'm just like, okay, why? But sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, like with Shuda especially, that was probably like the most interesting like ideological conflict in the stories thus far, where with failure and like these guys, they died failures, but Shuda rejects his failure, but Haru accepts, so he gets the sword and it's cool. But yeah, so there were some moments that are cool, but Ruby is tricked into losing all his money to the Ghost Attack Squadron, but everyone comes in to save him.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how that worked, because like at the end of the arc, Ruby's like, I have no money, but like he signed the contract thingy, so like I'm guessing somehow the evil bad guys were able to use that money over the course of this arc somehow. I don't know how it would just all disappear.
Lawyers are fucking like brutal in this universe, dude. You just don't question just the lawyers, man. They just, like, a lawyer off screen, he grabbed the paper and he took care of it as like Doryu's like organization was crumbling around him. I don't know. I just came up with that. It's just funny. Oh god.
Because I thought it was strange, because I figured like, okay, he's signing the contract, but at the end of all of this, like, they'll save him and nothing will be lost. But he's like, nope, I have no money.
No, yeah. At the end there, so it just works. It's magic. I don't know. Yeah, it's another kind of like same with the Lucia thing earlier with the Symphonia arc, where it's just like pieces moving when it's weird to try and imagine like how did this piece move into this place. It's just okay, whatever. So anyway, there's a shonen girl fight, because those are also with Celia versus the like Medusa lady, and there's more, human centinoid is what they call the non-humans divide, because Celia loves Haru, a man she's known for like 3 hours, but no, she'll never win his heart, but
I mean, there was the one part which was kind of funny where like she trapped her in the magic bubble or whatever, and I don't remember the villain's name, but she was like, I have this potion that'll make you human, and then she like undoes the bubble, and she's like, haha, I tricked you, and she's like, okay, but can you make me human? And she's like, wait, are you so stupid that you don't even realize you've been tricked?
Yeah, no, she had realized she'd been like she released the bubble, and because he already had a setup like contingency. So she's a smart girl, and yeah, so it's like, so yeah, she still tried to like offer a hand to her opponent before fucking ruining her. But yeah, but yeah, she doesn't care about being a human in the first place or in the end. So, but yeah, she won. Oh, this part was funny. Because like they get introduced to like Poison Cloud, Orochi, and he comes in, and then they fight him for a bit, and then he's suddenly gone, and then he's like dead.
Yeah, that was, because then that kind of takes Let away from the conflict for the rest of the arc, which is fine because it feels like there's still more to his character that hasn't been explored. He's like, oh, Jagan might be nearby, so I'm gonna stand guard here. And then I don't think Jagan ever shows up.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm just like realizing is like I don't think like Let's just gone for a bit. Like what did he say when he comes back? When he came back, because he's there in the end, isn't he?
Yeah,
or like he's there in the Doryu fight. So I don't remember how that plays out because it is just kind of to get Let out of the way for a while. Because like what is Jagan doing there? I don't think he actually shows up. So yeah. Like, Raina split from... Because Demon Card went out with all their forces to go fuck some shit up, but Raina split away because of Silver Ray. So, yeah, I don't know where Jagan is and what he's... Because he's, like, their main transportation. Like, they were riding on dragons because he's got... Yeah, so... I don't know. Because, yeah, it is weird that it didn't get really resolved, so... But anyway, Haru goes in to fight Doryu, and he gets his fucking ass handed to him. And I just realized why, because it totally fits with like the whole like framing of the darkness and light thing. So I guess I'm gonna go into that now as I do, because Haru is fighting Doryu alone, and I think that's important because that's kind of how like darkness and light are like like because at the end it's like Haru is the one who makes friends with everyone. Haru is light because light is togetherness, and if you remember Doryu's flashback, he wanted everyone to be together. But everyone was stupid, and they fought, and all the Sentinels ended up getting kicked out of town, and he was pushed into darkness alone. So he decides, everyone should be in darkness. He wants to take away, like, he wants everyone to be alone, basically, because he wasn't allowed to have the light to have of others. So he retreats into the darkness because he failed, basically. So that's how they kind of like frame it with like darkness being alone and light being together. So here's Haru fighting alone, and he loses. So I didn't realize that when I first read through the arc. I noticed the later stuff. So yeah, there's themes. Look, Mathwiz, there's the themes. Rave is a masterpiece now. Yeah, that's just the most interesting thing I noticed from this stretch of chapters. So, because yeah, I don't think like how he like handles like the racial conflict is quite as interesting. But it's not like bad, I don't think. Like it's like because that's the thing is like the conflict just kind of happens. Like, oh, the humans hate the Sentinels, and like one small incident and they all hate each other, and that's like kind of it. It's just simplified for the sake of the story. So again, I guess because I would say Rave is probably aimed at a younger audience than like One Piece, for example. And One Piece especially, like its racial conflict happened over 500 chapters into the series. And so, like, there's a sense of, like, and especially the whole, the new world is, like, growing up for the series. Like, I've talked about that about Punk Hazard, and maybe I'll talk about it in a future video, where, about how the story, like, sort of handles the growing up of its main characters. So it makes sense that it does deal with, like, a more, do I want to say the buzzword of nuanced? My favorite buzzword, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, it's like I'm not like comparing it to throw Rave under the bus. I'm just like pointing out that like yeah, it's understandable for a something aimed at a younger audience to be more simplified. So like as an adult, it's not as interesting to me. But it like there's a meaningful like conflict here going on with the dark and light stuff. So it's fine. It's whatever. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So yeah, that's just my thoughts.
I mean, yeah, because It is more simplified because it doesn't really do. I mean, like obviously having an anti-racist message is a net good. So it's a good theme, but like it doesn't really do much to examine. Like if we're talking about One Piece and like Fishman Island, it takes a look at like systemic issues that can kind of like
how
cause...
people become this way. Whereas with this story, it's like the people just are that way. And, like there's a bit of like hatred there because like there's the kid who got attacked by the monster and he was one of the ones like who grew up and was like abusing Doryu before being a monster. So it's like, but it doesn't examine why he became that way beyond that. Because that's the thing. The rest of the town was also like there and kind of enabling that mentality. But, again, it doesn't go too in-depth as to, beyond that. So it is, simplified in that way.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was the one shot where there's, like, which I thought was kind of cool. There was, like, the panel of, like, there's the one kid who at the start of Doryu's flashback is like, oh, hey, you have, like, pointy ears and stuff. You're not human. That's cool. And then later... he's like, oh, humans friends with monsters? That makes me sick. Bleh.
Yeah, he was the one who was attacked, right, by the wolf child who scratched him. I think,
was
and that
he?
started
Was that also a
I
connection?
Think, maybe. I'll give because it might have been two different kids, but yeah, maybe. So because you're right, there was that thing too. I forgot about that. So
I mean, like it was kind of like that shows like like, oh, children are more innocent and thus don't really care for this kind of stuff. Whereas like you see him get older and it's like, oh, so you can see like the impressions of society shaping him. But there's not much to really explore that. So I mean, like it is present, but it's just kind of like gestured that like this thing is here. Just not much to really say about it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more later as I go through again to double check the thing with the kid in the flashback. So, but anyway, Ruby draws his sword, and he's able to get them to safety.
Because of course it has to be a sword. Welcome to Bleach.
Yes.
See, no, this arc was kind of interesting.
Ruby is a death god.
In that it did...
Oh, yeah, what were we going to say?
Like, some of the powers, like, it I don't want to say it's all boiling down to sword fights because that's not quite true. But like Musica's silver claiming is now just kind of he has a big sword thing, lance.
Yeah. Or it's like a big weapon.
Yeah, I was gonna say I couldn't think of what it was.
It's still
called.
Also silver claiming stuff where he can shape change his stuff. But though I guess as an aside, I will say like Doryu is probably, except for maybe Shuda, Doryu is probably my favorite antagonist so far. Like King was good, but I don't know, Doryu is cool too. And I think I like his design for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, I like Doryu. But yeah, Ruby laments his inability to fight, and that's when his sword comes out, and he's able to take Haru to safety to the Dalmatian, who's able to help heal Haru with the light, as we find out later. Ruby's predilection toward collecting like rare shit ended up getting him the bell. So, sure. And here's the moment of Ellie drinking the poison, or not, rather. I don't know. I think I already talked about that though. So anyway, moving on. Raina's group comes in. Raina's reacting a bit to the fact that she's in the Silver Ray. Musica comes to help her, and they find out that the River Sally is okay. Did they show this name before? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, because it feels like this is the first time. I feel like Mashima would have, like, because he probably would have planned this, obviously, if he was going to include Raina in the arc. So I feel like he would have named the ship earlier, but I don't remember when it was named until this very moment. So, I dropped something. But it's like, because there's the whole anagram twist of, River Sally, it's Silver Ray, which is fine. But it's like, I just don't remember the ship being named before then. So, yeah.
You dropped something. I guess you could say you dropped the ball for not noticing it sooner. And see, no, I can't.
Now
remember
I gotta include. No, it's fine. Rude. No, it's fine. So anyway, they Musica and Raina talk more about the Silver Ray because Musica wants to use it to save his friends, but Raina doesn't want it used as a weapon because that would stain her father's legacy. But yeah, they do end up teaming up to deal with the whole shit with Onigami, or Ogre rather, and they start with their fight with him. So yeah, not only does he have an invincible, a dark bring that makes him invincible, but he's also a gold claimer, which makes him immune to like they did this whole thing to get rid of his dark bling and try to damage him, but no, he's a gold claimer, and he's like, silver won't work on a gold claimer, and it's just like, oh, that's okay. And I actually just realized, because I think I called this stupid at some point, I'm sure, because it is a little dumb, but like, because he says that like, oh yeah, gold claimer is, strong, easier, it's above silver, so that means, that means we're the ultimate, alchemists. But like, I think Musica ends up like being able, like, he's just like, oh yeah, gold's another metal or something like that later. So it's like, it's all the same kind of thing, but I guess like the higher up they are on the chart, the harder they are to control. So he's just, I guess, so it's kind of weird that they're separate. I don't know, maybe that's what he's going for, and he's just like presented it in a weird way, or maybe that's just how I'm taking it. But like, I don't know, it makes a bit more sense than I originally thought, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, they both, Musica and Raina team up. Raina puts her trust in Musica, even though she's never trusted anyone before, and even though they're enemies, but they still have the same goal, so they use silver bonds.
Well, wait, you forgot about the part before all this happens, when Raina's, the two disciple people, the girls, they're fighting the guy.
Oh, yes.
And, the one girl is like, oh, I have this sound, DB, it smashes things with a mondo loud yell. How do you like dem decibel?
Yeah, there's those like raveisms from the localization team. Thanks, guys. I love it. You're right. Thank you, Mathwiz. How could I forget something so important? No, it's fine. It's funny. But yeah, they defeat Ogre. Like, they fucking obliterate him, apparently. Like, I don't remember if he comes back or not. Like, if it's like a obliteration, like, we don't see the body, or like if he's just completely destroyed. But yeah, Raina and Musica try to stop the Silver Ray because it's about to fucking explode. And Raina chooses to sacrifice herself because I guess it's because it's her father's invention, and she doesn't want Musica to die. So, like she said, oh, I work for a demon. So here's another instance of like, well, see, this time the sacrifice actually goes through though. So I'm wondering how that factors into that whole conflict, because like earlier Haru was able to stop the mermaids from being sacrificed, but here, like, Musica is actually willing to join her and have them both be sacrificed, but that would be, senseless. So Raina, like Raina says that the world needs Musica, but it doesn't need Demon Card. So she's repenting a bit, and, this is the choice of the prophecy, because it's like, does he join her or not? And he decides not to, I guess, is what they're going with there. And there's even like a hypothetical flash forward of like what it might have been if they got together and had kids, and it's like, oh, okay, and then she dies. So
that's sad.
Sad.
See, I had talked to you. I had messaged you on Discord about this as well. I was like, oh, here's this character who was kind of starting to get pretty interesting in the stretch of chapters, and then she fucking died. It's like, well,
yeah.
I mean, like it was handled well. I think. Like, I like the execution of the whole setup. It's just disappointing because it's like, here's another point of interest for me with Rave, and it's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of inevitable, like, because we talked about a bit with Griff. It's like, when you kill off a character, you build them up a bit, because to make the death more impactful, so it's a death flag. So I mean, with Griff, it was almost like a parody, and so he didn't actually die, but with Raina, it was pretty legit. So I can confirm she's fucking dead. This isn't a fake out.
It's like what happened with Geen in Bleach. I was like, the one character I like, and he dies.
Oh wow, this conflict with Aizen is really oh.
I mean, obviously, like, in retrospect, I liked it more. And like, even with this one, I like how it was handled in the arc. It's not like, Mashima killed my character, I am no longer interested in Rave.
You were never interested in Rave in the first place. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, Musica gets the Silver Ray, And he was not sacrificed, so he gets to use that the life he still has to fight alongside his friends, which of course goes into the whole light dark thing with the final conflict, because the friends, they gotta fight together, they gotta be friends, and friendship punch, and friendship sword punch. I don't know, but anyway, Haru tells Ruby that, oh, you gotta remember this name because they're gonna be the third Rave Master. So yeah, though I don't like, because Shiva didn't choose the next Rave Master, the Rave Stones chose Haru, so I don't know, and we don't even find out who it would have been. So yeah,
I'm not.
I don't know.
I don't know what to make of this. Like, maybe something more happens later. Because I mean, like, it would have been kind of ballsy of Mashima to kill the protagonist like halfway through the story and just pick a new protagonist.
That would.
What is this,
That would
Aikatsu?
definitely be interesting.
Although,
Or what was that?
I said, what is this, Aikatsu?
Oh,
I mean, no one dies in Aikatsu,
yes.
I'd assume.
No, but the protagonist does change halfway through. That is true. And it was good. But anyway.
But yeah, like this is what I was kind of hinting at earlier. Like Mashima sets up all these death flags for Haru, but it's like, obviously he's not gonna die, and I mean, like, there's the moment later where he disintegrates into light, and then like moments later he's back. But it's like he really like leans into this idea that, like, oh, maybe Haru might die in this upcoming, and like this is where I feel like I don't want to say contrived, but just the way certain details are like presented to make you think that maybe, whereas like if you just kind of look at everything at face value, there's like no real reason to suspect much. Like, I don't know how I want to phrase it. What was the...
Yeah, like I don't know because yeah, Haru obviously isn't going to die, so it's weird. And yeah, then the 11 volume page had the future versions who were not dead, and I don't know. Like, it just, because yeah, well, he sold this death a lot, but no, all that, it didn't matter. So okay. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, the color, we get to that full color chapter where Doryu is about to deal with Ellie, but everyone comes to the rescue because she escaped thanks to Plu and Griff, but then Let and Celia and Musica come to her aid, and Haru's back, and Ruby, and they're gonna fight. So we get to the Doryu fight. I kind of already talked about, like, at least the whole conflict and a bit of the flashback. But there was at least one other thing to mention. Did you have any overall or thoughts on the Doryu fight? Because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like, all the characters got to work together, and they beat him up as a team, and it was cool. You even had his name, Ruby. You had Ruby doing stuff, and
right, because he's dealing with the one who killed his father. So
I like the part where like he had gotten his magic powers or whatever, and Ellie is like, "This makes you the strongest member of the team now, doesn't it?" And he just like looks over at the three guys, and he's like, "Yep," and they're like, "No."
Yeah,
I just like the paneling and like the timing of it, as well as you can time things in a static medium like manga.
Yeah, true. But anyway, so then there's this one really weird moment with where the affinity system gets like expanded on. With the weirdest analogies though, like, oh, if you put red water and blue water together, it changes nothing.
Okay,
but if
you didn't
put a blue
understand that
creature
either. I was confused. I did not know what the fuck that meant.
So, okay, like, I feel like here's what I think's happening. I think Mashima came up with this, like, affinity idea in, like, video game terms, because he plays video games. But, like, it's a contemporary setting, so, the characters would maybe have video games. Like, I remember in one of the cover pages, Ellie had a shirt that had www.heartcruise.com, so, like, computers probably exist, and so, like, there's some modern stuff. But, like, because, like, so instead he makes up this fountain analogy that just, like, it doesn't...
Like, if you put blue water and red water, wouldn't it change color? Wouldn't it be purple? But I don't understand. And then it's like the creature is... What?
See, like, what? Okay, I'm gonna try.
Like the creature
like,
won't dilute the water. So what does that mean with the affinities? I don't understand.
Well, see, because then after that he says, "Oh yeah, red water can muddy a red spring." Like, well, because like what? Okay, what Ruby did was he changed everyone's affinity to dark so that they could resist. Like, I'm pretty sure like having the same affinity means like magic resistance. So like, but Doryu could obviously he's a really powerful mage, so he can make dark magic that even affects dark affinity people. Like, because that's what happens afterwards. He's saying like, because yeah, they're dark attributes, so they're resistant to his stuff, but he's still so powerful that he can damage them, I guess. Like, see, because it's like I can make sense of it. It's easier to make sense of it without the analogy is the thing. So it's like a really bad analogy in that way because it's supposed to make things easier to understand, but here I am just confused.
Yeah.
Like what? The fan translation was even worse, but the official translation is not really much better. So it still doesn't make sense. Because like I'm trying to think of it as like, okay, red and blue water mixing. I guess it's like, affinities don't like magic. No, I don't know. Or no, maybe he's saying that if you change the affinity, it's not as strong or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say. This is deeper than any of Kubo's poems. Like, we need a fucking like crack team of literature analysts to tackle this dilemma. It's I don't know what the fuck's going on.
But no, you'd mentioned earlier like video game stuff, and there were definitely some moments, which of course I don't have anything specific to like reference, but there were certain things that felt kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, like tabletop RPG, or maybe just RPG stuff in general felt very referential. But I was like, I don't know.
See, I actually don't know. All I know is that Mashima likes Monster Hunter because he did a Monster Hunter spin-off manga. I don't know what other video games he likes, but JRPGs seem pretty reasonable considering the whole fantasy thing. So, yeah. Okay, so now I'm checking the flashback again. So, okay, the kid he's got like a cross-shaped mark on his forehead. So yeah, he's the one who says that the ears are, he's like, oh, cool, ears. Okay, so it was a different kid who got scratched. This kid who got scratched does not seem to have the bald head and the tattoo mark. But so yeah, the kid who, so he was, there's nothing specific that made this kid come to hate monsters, because as a kid he was like, oh yeah, monsters, cool, but as a teenager he was like, oh yeah, monsters and humans living together, ew. So I guess it was just like the town changing because of that incident and letting out the hatred between humans and centenoids. So okay, so but yeah, we already kind of talked about the flashback, unless you had any other thoughts. And this was when he was in prison. He was chosen by the Sinclair, the Dark Bling. So yeah, it does seem to choose its wielders, unlike the Rave, which the Rave chooses it, but the Rave Master has to earn the Rave stones, where the Sinclair just gives itself to those who it deems worthy. So as I mentioned before, but yeah, so did you have any other things to say on the fight? Because yeah, Doryu. He fights alone, but friendship beats him. Because light beats that, and that's the light that. Because Haru's finally like, and he even gets like a light sword because he's even he's fighting with his comrades, so he's actually like embracing the light where before he was trying to fight alone. So, it would have been neat to see it like mixed with some other ideas, like because like the Symphonia stuff had like the protection thing where Haru wanted to protect Ellie, and Ellie didn't want to be protected. Everyone protecting each other. So I feel like if they had mixed, like it would have been neat to see the protection thing climax here, because if Haru does like the Luffy or Ichigo thing where he's like mutually protecting each other, allies and the strong one mutually protecting each other, like that would have mixed with the light thing, and that would have been neat. But unfortunately, that's not how it played out. So just a thought I just had this very second. But yeah, they all do team up stuff, and it's cool. So yeah, before I interrupt again, did you have any final thoughts on the Doryu fight?
There was the one line where Haru was like, I don't know, I keep forgetting his name. Ruby had said like, oh, he's a victim too, and Haru had talked about like, oh, I fought a guy with a tragic past before, but I'm not quite sure what it adds, what it means.
Oh, that's right, because like King also had a tragic backstory, and Haru cried over him, but this time, he heard about Doryu's, but he just he kept fighting anyway, because obviously, like, Doryu's trying to fucking make the whole world dark, so it's like, you know, just because someone has a sympathetic backstory doesn't mean they shouldn't be stopped, I suppose. Also, wait, I just remembered, is Let actually here? Like, I'm looking, oh yeah, Let's there. So I need to, I want to go back and find out what he said when he came back. Oh, Jagan's not here. I'll fight. I don't know. Because that was weird. Oh yeah, we didn't even get to mention, when the affinities happened, Ruby, like, explains the affinities and explains
to point that out.
I forgot about it, yeah. He explains everyone's affinities, like, oh, Haru, he's light, and Ellie, Let's fire, Celia's ocean, I forget what Musica was. But then, like, out of the blue, he mentions, oh yeah, Sieg, he's probably beyond the affinity system. He's got, like, the ultimate attribute. Like, it's like, he goes out of his way to jack off Sieg for no reason whatsoever. So yeah, that was very appropriate for Mashima to jack off his favorite character a little bit more for no reason whatsoever. Also, yeah, I'm going back, and Let just comes in for the Doryu fight and says nothing about Jagan at all. He's just like, so... wonderful. So yeah, it's getting a little sloppy in a couple areas here. Not that it wasn't before, but yeah, it's just more, I'm noticing it more a bit, I guess. Alright, I'm all the way back. I need to go back forward to the end. Oh yeah, because at the end of the fight we have Haru vanishing, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's dead. But he's okay. Because he was actually being taken away to heal for a moment before he fucking died. There's even a fucking, like, flash to Garage Island where he, Katalaya, his sister, they're just talking about how he's been gone a while, and it's like, oh no, he's dead. It's just like really playing up the death, but then he's fine. Good, yeah, he's got good friends with him, so he'll be okay. But yeah, everything's good. Reina's 2 members cry and leave, you know, because Reina's gone, but her soul lives on. Musica's got Silver Ray. There's a big old mermaid party underwater.
Oh, it was sad, the part where the one girl was like, oh no, I dozed off I dozed off before she came back. She's like, oh, we can wait, I'll stay awake this time. It's sad.
Yeah. But yeah, so the mermaids send off Haru, the Rave crew. They don't even have a name that I remember. Celia gives Haru a kiss as she says goodbye, and that's it.
Actually, now that I think about it, I'm thinking more on, like, the anti-racism theme again, and, like, where I don't want this to be the compare this to One Piece and see how One Piece does things better podcast. But, like...
I'm sorry, One Piece is just too good, because I've been doing it too, and I don't... Like, it's not... Again, I'm not trying to throw Rave under the bus, and I don't think I am. I don't think my comparisons are made at the expense of Rave. Like, earlier I talked about how, like, you know, it's simpler because it's aimed at a younger audience. Like, it's, you know, it's supposed to be more digestible.
I mean, like, if I could think of another shonen action story that had, like, you know, the implementation of, like, anti-racist elements, I'd try to bring those up. But what I'm thinking of with regards to Fishman Island and you know, this arc, I don't quite know what the solution to, like, combat racism is being, like, I don't know what solution this arc and Rave is kind of posing, unless it's just, like, the individual people who are bad. I don't know. Whereas, like, because, like, with not talking about, like, the systemic elements that, like, One Piece does, there are, like, clear steps that, like, should, like, try to be taken. Like, there's the Fishman district, which kind of caused Hody to be the way.
Remove the negative.
Yeah, like, don't neglect
like,
the negative elements.
Like, yeah,
but then also there's like more
case,
still to like dig into. Like, there's the what's it called, the Reverie, which is like they're trying to go for and try to, like, help, you know, resolve things on a wider scale. But there isn't.
And because, like, think about this. Well, because, like, yeah, it doesn't, because now I think about it, there's even maybe a potential contradiction, because Doryu says, like, you know, who decided that the light was correct? And see, I like the idea of, like, because, you know, if light is connected to friendship and dark is connected to being alone, then neither is necessarily, like, you could read it as neither being more or less bad than the other. Like, here I am sitting in my room alone, talking to someone online. I guess I'm dark attribute, right?
Oh no.
I don't know, maybe. But the story does decide that light is correct. So, So in other words, who decided that light is better than dark? Mashima. And that's kind of like, there is no real like solution toward fixing it. It's just like a general message where it's like the village, split itself up and, cut off each other. So it leaned more toward the darkness rather than towards being together. And that's all, Haru wins by being together with non-human races, basically, where Doryu fought alone. So, like, it's just, so it's like, there's no real solution, it's just a general, like, be together, because friendship. So, not a simple conflict with a simple resolution, I suppose. So, I mean, and there's definitely room for it to be more interesting, but,
well, because, like,
it wasn't, so,
they do work together in the end, which is cool. But even then, like, Doryu in his flashback, like, he had, like, made a village to try to, like, unite the races, and that didn't... I don't quite understand what the difference was.
Thing. There's no specific reason as to why it failed. I'm trying to think, because, there was hatred, and Doryu was like, hey, stop hating each other, and they were like, no. And then it continued to, like, it failed, and Doryu gave up. Like, I guess, because with Haru, though, like, I can't remember when he's, like, explicitly failed to unite people, except with him and the bad guys. So it's like, there's ways it could have been more meaningful, for sure, but, it wasn't. So, and if it were more meaningful, I think it would be more interesting. But
with, like, the uniting stuff, like, I don't know, maybe should Haru have, like, beaten Doryu, but like he just kind of defeats him? Should he have maybe like talked no jutsu'd him and brought him onto his side? I don't know, because that would have been like a unity thing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is, like, this is to follow up some of my thoughts from the last time, because I've talked about how, like, themes are integral to a story. Like, Mashima might not even really, like, he's doing plans and, like, there are ideas here, but, we don't know how much he's actually, like, recognizing what he's doing. Because, like I said before, I've written stories and not recognized what I was doing until I looked back and saw the conflicts, and, and sometimes they were more cohesive than others. And I would say, like, this arc has some, conflicts, but the ideas aren't as cohesive. Like, I could see, like, if you tweaked this thing, like the protection thing, so if you like, combine, like, but obviously, like, though that was an idea in a different arc, but, if it had been, like, elongated to fit into this arc too, it could have, like, factored into the idea better. Like, if this has changed, then the ideas might have, because, like, I feel like, if Mashima as a writer had maybe better understood the themes in his story, then maybe he would have been able to actually, like, tweak things to make it, to make it more layered in that way.
Maybe Fairy Tail will improve in this regard, and he'll be more. I like that reaction.
So
just,
so basically my main point, because, like, I talked about reading and writing last time, because they are different skills, and, like, see, this is me as a writer speaking, where I'm saying, like, if you tweak this idea, it could have gone this way. Whereas because as a reader, like, I'm noticing, like, it's not fully cohesive. So the failing so my reading is noticing where maybe the right. So, but it's like, if Mashima had been better at either reading or writing, maybe he would have been more able to, like, capable of making the more cohesive story. So. Yeah, I'm just saying that, they're still separate skills, and I'm doing the thing I try not to do in, like, saying, this is how it could be better. But, I don't know, something about, Mashima's, it's only stories that I don't like where I do that, really. Like, at least in something so major as, like, restructuring, like, how the theme is built up throughout the story. Like, and I'm like, God damn it, like, because with One Piece, it's like, well, if you change one thing, like, there's just so many ideas that I've noticed in it that, like, and maybe there is a reason not to change something with Rave. I just haven't noticed because, again, we're not done yet. There's still, ideas that have, like, fate and sacrifice that still haven't been fully resolved yet. So I don't really think the racism comes up again, though. I might be incorrect, but
I mean, that kind of thing is tricky, because I've even made videos where, like, I did my Insecure Shounen protagonist video where I was like, well, what if we restructured some things about, like, Naruto's character? And I got some comments that are like, well, no, if you do that, then this is what that impacts. So it is tricky.
Because that's the thing. You inherently change something, so that's why, like, when I think I made this suggestion last time, and if I didn't, I'll say it again here, where I feel like if you get an idea for something like that where it can be done, quote unquote, done better, I think the best course of action is to just, like, literally do it yourself. Like, don't just, like, say, don't just point at the story and say like, oh, this could have been different. Use it as a learning opportunity and like write a short story where like, or you examine the idea like, oh, I like this idea in the story that the story failed to capitalize on. Maybe I should quote unquote do it better. So write, don't just like point it and say like you could write it better. Just try actually writing it better. Like I just think that's more, because if you fail and don't write it better, then you've learned something. And if you succeed, you've made something good. Like that's, and that's why, so like not saying that all complaints are necessarily like just do it better, like because that's the thing. I'm just saying that like because there's I also say be open to the possibility that you're wrong with your reading, because I didn't notice the Fate Destiny shit at all, and Ninmanji had a comment about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Actually we talked about it in my server, and I told him to comment on the video, so yeah, but so yeah, I'm trying to string my thoughts together for eventually future video topics and future discussion topics. But yeah, I do not have anything more to say on this stretch of chapters. I think I missed some little things here and there, but yeah, it was fine. It's still okay. Like, even it's sloppy at times, but it's got heart, is what we say. It's obviously flawed, but we still want to like it anyway. Even then, I'm still like, 4 out of 10. Like, I guess it's less of a 3 out of 10 now and more of a 4, so that's nice.
I
improve.
I feel it's still like okay. But again, like me bringing up all these ideas is like, well, here's where I think it could be more interesting, and it just doesn't have that level of intrigue for me.
Yeah, that's right. And I will point something out. Mashima was like 21 or 22 when Rave started. Now 100. Now he's still younger than me at this point. Basically, I'm 27. Mashima is probably no older than 25 at this point. So it's like, and he's spending all this time writing this manga. He's not like, he doesn't have the time I do to read and break down and explain all these stories. All this time that I've spent doing that same thing. So like, and he's. He works. He's a manga author. They don't have a lot of time. So, I mean, they definitely do have some time, because I know, they got to read other stuff eventually, but still. Anyway, I guess we're about done with the discussion?
Yeah.
All right, so next time, it's going to be brutal. I'm probably going to start my reading a bit earlier because it's long. We're reading chapters 141 to 234. So that is almost 100 chapters. Yeah, it's the last stretch will be much. So it's that one's probably gonna be, next episode's probably gonna be our longest, and the one after. See, it's like it's either this stretch is gonna be 90, or like chapters of the one after is gonna be 90 chapters. Like the arc, right? It's the arcs aren't divided well enough for our podcast, basically. So, yep. I think I like how the last episode's set up, because it's basically like the last 2 arcs. So this is just basically building up to that last part, the next stretch. So, thank you for reading along. We're almost done with Rave. We're halfway done. I mean, episode-wise, not reading-wise. But we're close. So yeah, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.